Anymore, people use transparent PNGs in anything they may seek to use them for. This can be for designs, videos, PowerPoints, etc. Most of the time, you can easily find these transparent PNGs for items you may need. For example, if you are doing a PowerPoint on trees, you can easily just find a transparent image of a tree, put it in there, you're fine. You're basically set. However, there may be times where you cannot find transparent PNGs. What situations can these be? For example, if you're doing an advertisement with a brand with like clothing, like a new clothing line, you cannot just, find a transparent image of these and just do whatever you want with them. You actually have to do it yourself. Now there are some, ways you can go about this. For the first one, you can just easily find a just free website that just remove the background itself and you can be fine and dandy. However, there can be some issues with this. One that I commonly see is that it just doesn't come off as clean and it will have random just cuts everywhere or parts that you don't want to keep. So, for example, again, if you have a picture of yourself and you ask the software, hey, can you remove the background? It'll go, sure thing. And then it'll just remove your entire arm and just leave a very butch picture of yourself. Now, you might think, can I just edit it afterwards? Nope, you're just left with it. So I think for this very reason, you should be able to do it yourself with a software like Photoshop. For this process, I will be explaining how to create a transparent image, saving it to the computer, and then using it anywhere else. This process is very simple and just only requires a few things to be able to do it. The thing about this process is I'll be using Adobe Photoshop, which just costs around like $22.99 a month. Or you can go for the free option of using a school email/account or just doing the free trial. Then all you need is a device that can actually run Photoshop. So you shouldn't be really using a Chromebook computer. That's actually really, really bad. But you may need computers with these specs. I'm not the best at computers, but here's just an example of one you can use, which is a 2017 MacBook that was pre-owned at Walmart. Then all you need is Wi-Fi, making the cost $212.71, or the maximum being $235.70. Just rough estimate. With my experience, it takes me only around like 5 to 10 minutes to really just cut it out, or even just less time, depending on how complicated it is. But for others, it might take around 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your skill set and how used to computers you are. At the end of the process, you'll be able to have a transparent image that you can use anywhere you want. So, let's just begin. To get started, like I said, you just want to open up Photoshop on your computer, so let's go over there and click on it. Once it loads up, you want to click on New File, then hit Create with any dimensions. Next, put in your picture of whatever you want to use. Next, you want to click on Select Subject. So once you hit Select Subject and get all those little funky little lines around it, you want to click on the Mask button, which then masks the image. Whenever you have a mask image, the thing with it is it might not be perfect. There might be things like I mentioned earlier, an arm cut off or something that just looks all ragged and nasty looking. So you want to fix that. So there are tools on the left hand side to edit it, and you can just do whatever you want, just fix it, make it look nice and pretty. Since we're done with that, we can now move on to making it look even more pretty by looking over to the right of the proportions, and you can see we have radius, smooth, feather, and contrast. What I personally like to do is I don't really mess with the radius too much, but I like to mess with the smooth, feather, and contrast. So what I do with the smooth is it just makes it like smooths everything out. It just makes like weird corners look smooth, etc. Feather, it just basically just adds like a little tiny little blur around it, so I like to do a little bit of that. And then for contrast, it just really depends on what it looks like. Just do whatever you think would look good for it. And now we're done with that. What I like to do now is add effects to it. So what we want to do is go over to the FX and go to blending options. It'll take you to this layer style panel where what I like to do, like I said, it takes me like a little bit to mess around with until it looks nice and good. Drop shadow, inner shadow, like 2 times, and whatever else, but I like to just keep it simple and just do that so then it doesn't look as flat and it looks nice and pretty. So now that we're done with that, I also kind of forgot to mention you can also just apply the layer mask and just remove that entirely, so now it's just nice and transparent. So now it's like you can move it around. Yay! So now what we want to do is go over to layers, because we want to make sure the background, the little white box over there, is gone. In order to now export this image, you want to go over to File, Export, Export As. Make sure it's, whatever. Export it. And then what you want to do is save it. I recommend saving it as like a name or whatever. Like, for example, this is my grandma's kitty cat. I'm just going to name it kitty cat, cat, cat. Next step is adding it to any photo you want. So I have a photo right here, for example. It's just a little funny little meme. And I drag over my grandma's cat, and I just put it in its little helmet. So ta-da! Me just messing around with it. And then whenever you get your image inside the photo itself, you want to make sure it looks natural. So you might want to either mess with over there the adjustments, but I already have it set in this file, so I don't have to worry about that. But I recommend doing that if you're, just mess with it, make sure, look and see what looks good. That's what I normally do. I'm not really trained in this. It's just kind of eyeballing it. And then here's the final product. Also, here's some more examples. Here's like a thumbnail I did for like a Lethal Company. And then I have this little baby thing, which I made for another thumbnail. And then here's an example of, a PowerPoint. If you want to do a PowerPoint of cats I love, and you want to use the same picture of my grandma's cat that I just did, you can, easily just drag it around, blah, blah, blah. It looks nice and vanity. You can see it's like transparent, it looks pretty. In conclusion, creating a transparent image is a simple and vital skill to learn. It'll take at most 20 minutes to do, or no longer than 7 or more for experienced users. For anyone who is in a field requiring excellent PowerPoint, design, or advertisements, it is important to be able to have transparent images. This process allows for you to create a transparent image by using Photoshop, adding details to the image to not make it appear flat, saving it to be used anywhere, and how to add the image anywhere, making it look natural. The cost needed for this process is no more than $235. If you already have all the required materials needed, this will cost nothing. With time and efficiency, this process will be a simple task to complete for the rest of your life. This will also allow you to be more creative with images you can use, allowing for more creative projects. For these reasons, knowing how to create a transparent image is an important skill to learn and know how to do.